So I put out a post on a Facebook group that I'm a part of talking about Chronicles of Narnia, and people asked and saying what kind of video should I make. And somebody asked, would you please do a video talking about the movies, like the Walden Media films, and what you did and didn't like about them, because that would be super fun. And I was going to wait a few weeks until I get through all the books and have my guy that I have on my videos do it with me, but he's not as into the movies as I am, and he'd probably just say, I don't know much about them. So, if he does go for it, then we'll do that later. Maybe we'll do a follow-up, but this is my thoughts for now. And if you feel differently, that's totally okay. This is just my opinion about the movies. And you might say, well, don't leave out the other movies. So yeah, I will talk very briefly about like the animated movie and the BBC films before we get to the Walden Media. Okay, so first of all, the animated one. No offense, it's awful. I'm sorry, it's awful. Maybe it's nostalgic for you. That's seriously the only way I can imagine liking it. I remember seeing it once as a kid. Someone gave it to me, and I just was like, I don't like this. Maybe if Disney had made it in like 3D animation, with really good voice acting and that kind of stuff, maybe I could get into it. But I can't get into it. I'm sorry, I can't. I've only seen it once. I think I've seen clips of it. And I've also seen like comparing it to the other versions. Yeah. I take BBC over the animated, which I can't stand the BBC movies that much. I can tolerate them. I think the storylines, obviously, I liked some of their motives, but one thing I've always noticed is that they stray from the book in the weirdest details ever. Seriously, the weirdest. Like in The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. This is the BBC. When they're in the magician's house, Lucy is told, the last door on the right instead of the last door on the left. It's like, why? How hard is it just to say left instead of right? There's just some things about it that I think are super bizarre, and I don't know. I just don't really like it. And of course, like the special effects are terrible. I understand for the 80s it was pretty good, but I just don't get into it. But I think part of that is for me, because I was 5 or 6 when the movie came out, and I don't think with the Walden Media films came out, and of course I didn't see it for like a year, I think. But it was really, really good, and I loved it, and it'll be nostalgic for me. So that'll be me, like, when my kids are like, the special effects don't look very good, compared to what we have now, like in 20 years. Why do you like it? And I'll be like, it's nostalgic for me, honey. So I think it'll all kind of even out. Like maybe people like 80s babies will say, well, they're not so bad. It's like, it's bad. It's bad. But anyway, so now I want to talk about the Walden Media films. Hold on, I'm going to move my camera up just a little bit. I don't film here very often, so I'm trying to figure out like the best way to do this. So yeah, the Walden Media films. Now this I can actually speak more to about like what I love and don't love about it. The first one. I don't think there's really anything, I was thinking about this last night, that I don't love about it. Some people may complain that they don't stay completely true to the book, but I think they stay really, really true to the spirit of the book. Like, whatever. And also Douglas Gresham was really, really actively involved in the producing of this movie. And I think he was producing or directing. I'm not actually sure which, but he was involved in this movie, and he likes it. Rumble Buffin. Rumble Buffin. Who's the giant that the witches turned into stone. He says, I guess they had cast a New Zealand actor and sculpted him, I think, sculpted a huge statue of him to be the giant. And then they were going to do something. I don't know how they did this, but it was great. And they said Douglas Gresham got tears in his eyes looking at this and saying, that's exactly how Rumble Buffin should look. So obviously, I think C.S. Lewis would have been pleased with how they did it. I think one reason I love it so much is because I'm an only child, and seeing the siblings dynamic, which they portray splendidly, it's just really, really fun. I really like it. Like, I think Lucy is just drop dead adorable. I used to like, whatever, like when I was little, we were like watching, I was like, oh, whatever. But now I'm like, oh, she's so cute. She's so cute. I love her so much. And, you know, she's super adorable. And Georgie Henley plays her so fantastically. And I think the casting is fantastic. I mean, on that note, the casting is fantastic. I can't imagine anyone else. I love the dynamics. I love the way they play off of each other. I don't really think I would change anything, to be honest with you. I think it's really, really well done. Like, unspeakably well done. The music is fantastic. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And the scene that I love, like, there's so many scenes, like, there's specific scenes. Like, I love what they did with, like, the wolf. Like, what they changed, I think, actually made it better, which might be kind of a thing to say, but, like, the scene with Peter and the wolf, you know, I love how he saves both of his sisters. I always get goosebumps when he, like, runs across the, what is it? The, stream, and is, you know, doing everything he can to save them, and doesn't even think about putting his life on the line for them. And I love seeing, like, his transformation from, you know, really, really, like, literally pale, scared boy to really tall, handsome, tan man. Yeah, I had a crush on him. I think I'll think he's cute for a long time. And then Susan is really good. I like it. I like what they do with her, because she kind of gets a lot of hate. You know, she gets a lot of flack because she's not really fleshed out very well. But I do think, like, seeing her with the amount of faith that she had, like, even she's the one who says to Lucy, he must have known what he was doing when Aslan is dead, and Lucy's like, what's going on? It actually kind of makes it more tragic knowing she eventually walked away, versus, you know, she didn't believe in it anymore, versus in the book there was always kind of a feeling of, like, lack of belief from her. You know, it's kind of like someone, as a Christian, I compare it to, like, someone who's, like, this super strong Christian, and maybe even, like, a famous Christian. Like, there's famous Christians or sons, you know, kids of famous Christians or whatever, that have walked away from the faith, and it's devastating. Or when pastors have moral failure, whatever. You know, when you really buy into what, you know, like in fictional character, when you really buy in and believe that they believe, and then they fall away, it's incredibly tragic. I think and Edmund is excellent. I like that they don't try to make him like, well, he'd had a tough life. No, he was a jerk, and that's what they call him at. You know, he was a jerk. He was mean. But there's certain level of sympathy for him. I think the director said he was a younger or a middle brother. I don't remember which one he was. I think he was a middle child, and I think, yeah. So I'm assuming that means he had an older brother. So he was kind of like, he could relate to him really well. But they don't try to downplay what he did. That was wrong. And, like, they actually almost make him out to be more of a, are you kidding me, Edmund? You know, like the audience, than whatever. Because he goes into this castle that is super creepy, and he was creepy in the book, but it's really, really creepy. And this wolf is horrible, like actually jumping on him. I don't think he jumps on him in the book. And he still goes in. He still goes in! It's so crazy! I mean, of course, he's deceived. And again, like I said, Lucy is fantastic. I like that she's a little bit snarky. Like, she'll say, like teasing and all that kind of stuff. She doesn't just lay down on the field of battle. She's actually like, you know, whatever. But she's forgiving. because that's Lucy is like a forgiving, Christ-like person. I know I've thought about making a video about am I Susan or am I Lucy, because I want to be Lucy, but I'm so often Susan. If you think that's something you'd like to see, like, let me know. It's super fun. Yeah, it's great. Another, like, anyway, yeah. The witch is portrayed really well. I think Tilda Swinton is a great actress. Another thing I do like is that they don't make her face white, because that is kind of like, then if they had made her look like she looks in the book, I'd literally be like, Edmund, you're an idiot. But I don't really see that as much. I mean, he is an idiot. Like I said, he's being an idiot. How do you not, whatever. But you can see how you can be deceived, and it's actually kind of like a example of how the devil is so stinking good at trapping humans. More on that, like, say, the witch as a representation of Satan, and Aslan representing Jesus, and like how they duke it out, and how, but of course, Aslan wins. It's not even a contest. One thing I love that they don't do in the book is that they show the battle. I think that is super cool. Maybe they didn't need to do it to the extent that they did. Like, they could have left out a couple of parts. But one thing I'm so glad they did, that I'm glad they did the opening part and then, like, the closing part. Because the opening is so powerful. I love the moment, like, where Peter is getting nervous and he looks up to his brother and Edmund just nods at him, and then he's just like, he's got his confidence. He can do this because his brother believes in him. But I love so much the part where Tilda Swinton comes up, Tilda Swinton playing the White Witch, and her general and everybody comes up on looking at, and comes up on like the field or whatever, I don't know, the other side of the battlefield, and they're looking at the Narnians, the Army of Light. That's what I've heard it called. I think that's great, because technically they're all Narnians. And he's like, and she just looks and says, I have no interest in prisoners, kill them all. That never ever fails. Like, even as a little kid, that would always get to me, because I think it's super cool, and it's such a super, like, powerful, because that's how I picture. I don't really know if C.S. Lewis, like, intended this battle to be, like, the final battle, to be the battle against, life versus death, the battle against good versus evil, like, the ongoing spiritual warfare. I don't know. Because, again, he wasn't planning to, like, write the last battle when he was writing this book, as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I don't really know what his vision, if this is supposed to represent, is not like a specific thing, or what it is, the battle, but that is how I picture the final battle to be. Satan is going to come and say, kill them all. I have no interest in prisoners. I just want them all to be, because he thinks he's going to win, but guess what? Spoiler alert, he isn't. No, he's not going to win, because Jesus won the battle. And I know people might say, oh my goodness, you just make this so religious. Guess what? I'm a Christian, and I can't not talk about Jesus, especially when it comes to these books, because this is about Jesus. And C.S. Lewis would totally agree with me, I believe. So yeah, that's how I picture it, and I love it so much. And I love, again, like when, I hate the witch. Okay, I hate the witch. But I like what they do with her. It's really, really well. And they do such a good job portraying, like, the battle between good and evil so well. I love it. Okay, so, and then we fast forward, of course, to the very end of the battle. Like, when she stabs Edmund is so fantastic. My mom said this one part of the movie that she hates because the witch looks so awful. Yeah, she does look awful. But that scene is so powerful, and, like, the brothers, like, Ed Peter's just horror is so good. And again, this is just a testimony to these amazing actors. I love these actors. Another thing that I love, so, and then of course at the very, very end, when she's about to kill Peter and Aslan, well, no, excuse me, like a few seconds before that, when she's battling with Peter, duking it out, and Aslan roars, and she just goes, impossible. Impossible. And I just think that's so powerful. Again, relating back to the battle between good and evil. It's not going to be a contest. Jesus is going to win. It just doesn't mean it's going to be perfect for us, but Jesus is going to win. And, so yeah, it's just wonderful. I love it. I love their coronation scene, that we got to see that more. And I love that this is the first movie where, one thing, they actually get new clothes. Sorry, okay, I don't want to, sorry, I skipped over a part I want to talk about. I'll go back to that. I love how, and I love the scene between the Pevensies after the battle. I think it's so good. I love it so much. And I love their group hug. I know. I love it so much. I'll watch that scene over and over because I love it. And I just love it. And again, I don't know. Maybe it's a silent cry for brothers and sisters, but I love that so much. Another thing that I love about this. So now, okay. Going back to what I was going to say a second ago. Their clothes. Can we talk about their clothes for a second? I have a problem, a major problem, that in the other movies, they didn't give him new clothes. And I know they were on a smaller budget and they didn't have pretty much unlimited money. But I think they could have sprung for like a couple of old-fashioned dresses from like a costume shop. You know, come on. It's bad. It's like, and like, I think even at their coronation, they're literally just wearing like the shorts and the shirts and the, whatever their English clothes were, with a robe over it. It looks so cheesy. Oh. It's bad. I'm not even a fashionetta, and it's bad. I hate it so much. I'm sorry. And I also hate, like, this is again on the BBC movie, where their crowns fall out of the air. It looks so corny. But so anyway, in the Disney movie, their coronation scene is gorgeous. And they get new clothes, like 3 different outfit changes, and it's amazing. And their clothes are great. And I think they're fantastic, and I love their clothes. But I also love, like, how they each have like their own thing that's said and all that kind of stuff. I love their coronation scene. There's nothing I don't love about it. Well, that's not true. I think the only thing I would have changed is, I think I would have stretched the conversation with with the professor more. Just because that is such a crucial scene in the books, and I think it's so wonderful and delightful, and Lewis, like, obviously meant a lot to him, and I wish they would have, like, made more out of it. But that's the only thing I changed, maybe, and I'm not even sure I changed that. There's nothing I don't love about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Alright, now we get to Prince Caspian. Okay. Yeah. My parents, we got the movie from the library. This was in the old days where, you know, the library still was a big deal. This was in like 2008 or 9, I guess it would have been, whenever the movie came out. I honestly don't know. I'm sorry, I honestly don't know. I think it was 2008. Should have looked that up. But I remember we watched part of the movie, and it was so much violence, we shut it off because it was bothering 8-year-old me. 8 or 9-year-old, however old I was. I might have been 9. I honestly don't remember. And I was not allowed to watch that movie, and in my good girl, really good girl goes bad, but not really bad, just goes semi-good, just goes, you know, whatever. Not really getting bad at all. My first naughty thing I did was to watch Prince Caspian by myself once I went to college, because I wanted to see it so bad, but my dad would not let us watch it. And even though I was like, Dad, I'm a teenager now, it won't bother me. But anyway, and I liked it. Honestly, I liked it. It was good. But there were a lot of things about it that I would, this is the one I would change more. Okay. So first of all, I loved the animals in this one. I love Caspian. I think Ben Barnes is a great actor. I love the casting. I'll say it that way. I love the actors that they picked. I'm glad they got all 4 of the Pevensies to come back. And I like that the witch shows up again. I really like that, honestly. Because she's not really, they kind of drop her. And, it's just kind of interesting. Like, the evil can never die. Anyway, I think, once again, Ben Barnes is great as Caspian. Susan is great as Anna Popplewell is great as Susan. Xander Keynes is fantastic. I think, if anything, he's better in this one. I really think they portrayed Edmund very much like he was in the book. Except, of course, a few years older. Because, they bumped the ages up. Because the actors. And I think he's fantastic. I love how he is portrayed as just very mature, very smart, very perceptive. And I also love that Lucy is just grown in her perception. I love that about her. And like how she says, so she's like, when Peter and Caspian are fighting, talking about we should do this, we should do that, she's like, you all act like there's only 2 options, dying here or dying there. Have you forgotten who really defeated the White Witch? And I love that her faith and Aslan never wavers. I actually, I try not to be political on this channel, but I did see a meme circulating right after the election. When that was like that scene, and you're acting like there's only 2 options, Biden or Trump, and she's like, but have you forgotten that Jesus Christ is still king? And I thought that was great. It was perfect use. I could see her saying something like that, so actually I really liked that about it. Anyway, that's an aside. And I really liked a lot of the minor characters. I thought Miraz was great. I liked that Caspian actually confronts him about killing his dad. I thought that was really powerful and really, really, just really good. I thought that was really, really cool, and that was worth it. I liked Queen Prua-Prismere, I hope I'm saying her name right, that she is not necessarily portrayed as a villain, because she's definitely a villain in the BBC version, but it's almost indifferent. It's not clear in the book, and I liked that they made her more of a kind of just not knowing, but not an ignorant woman. She just didn't know because her husband was so good at keeping secrets. And I love when the baby's born, how she obviously just a really loving mom, and she is checking to make sure he's a boy, and she's just she's so relieved. See if he's a boy, and she's just so relieved. Yeah, again, Caspian is fantastic. I liked the Spanish accent. I almost wish he had kept it. I just thought it sounded really, really cool, and it added a lot, and it fit his coloring really well. Almost better than a British accent did, because he's got dark, and he almost looks like he could be Spanish. I mean, I know Ben Barnes isn't, and they probably did something with his makeup, but it was really good. I liked his coloring, and I liked his relationship with the animals and the mice. Reepicheep. Can we talk about Reepicheep for a second? I love Reepicheep. I literally had a cat that I got when I was 8 years old named Reepicheep. From the books, not from the movies. I hadn't watched enough of the movies that he's in to decide that I loved him. I loved the character of Reepicheep, and the movie portrays him so well, and he's so cute, and he's, whoa, I forgot. We're not supposed to say that. Fearless, whatever the words are better for him. Okay, but there's one I probably noticed. There's one Pevensey I haven't talked about yet. And that is Peter, because I wanted to leave the things I don't like for last. And I don't like him in this movie. I don't like him. And I'm sure the filmmakers had a reason for turning him into into a mean, idiotic bully. Okay, strong words, but maybe not true. To a bully, to arrogant. I'm sure they had their reasons. And of course their reasons was to portray, I do know some of their reasoning was well, what would it have been like for him to go from being a high king to going back to high school? Okay, I get that, but don't sacrifice his character. And like, that's the way he'd been in the book, I would have said, okay, fine. That's how what happens. That's how Lewis wanted him portrayed. But that was not how Lewis wanted him portrayed. You know, I don't believe he was. He was because he was never anything but kind to his little sister. He was never like arrogant or sarcastic. He literally says, we didn't come to take your place, we came to put you into it. And here he is. Looks like he just wants to be king again. And he just, it's just like acknowledge that his time's done. And he needs to hand it off to the next person. I don't like it. I don't. Now, William Moseley is a fantastic actor, and I don't want to deny that he plays this character so well. And I love the duel scene. I love it. It's wonderful. It's portrayed really well. I like the higher stakes, to be honest. I like that there's more battles. I like, maybe not that much, as much as they put in, but I like the extra action. I like the, you know, they don't spend as much time with them just like walking. Like literally half the book is them travel. Well, half the book is Caspian's story being told. Half the book story, and then I take it back. Between telling Caspian's story and them getting to him, that takes up half the book, literally, at least half the book. I don't mind that they minimize that they change that, and that it isn't narrated by Trumpkin. I kind of like that. It's kind of like we see it for ourselves. I mean, I guess, like, as far as I'm concerned, like, the audio drama done by Focus on the Family, the way they portray it is fantastic. So I'm not saying it's bad. I just think for a movie, it was better to do it this way. But still, honestly, I could probably, if Peter's character had been better, I probably could have given it like a 100%, maybe 95, but I have to knock it down to like literally like 70 to 80, 85. Because I'm sorry, but his character is portrayed so badly, and it's so different from the spirit of what Lewis wanted. Again, if that's the way he'd been portrayed in the books, I could live with it. But that's not how he's portrayed in the books. Okay. And I guess I didn't really talk about Aslan. I can't believe I missed that in the last one and this one. Yeah, he's fantastic. I love Liam Neeson. There's nothing wrong. I love the books. I loved Aslan in all three. Now we come to the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Okay. I have mixed feelings about the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. There, for one thing, here I think the changes they make to the book are justified. From the book are justified. Totally justified. Because literally half the book is like, because a lot of the book is like where there's times where they would sail for days on end, weeks, and they wouldn't see anything. That would make for a boring movie. So I like, you know, I mean, maybe it would have been kind of cool if they'd kept, like, as much as they could, kept the geography the same. But I really liked the Green Mist. I will say I didn't like how they portrayed Lord Byrne, and I don't like how they portrayed the slave market. I don't. It's just kind of like using whatever, not using brains, because that's one thing I think is so cool about the book, how they use trickery and cleverness and brains to figure it out, how they're going to get them free. They're like, yeah, we're not going to use bravado. I like that a lot. I do like, almost like how they get into Narnia better, like how they swim, it gets, you know, how they don't like, because in the book, it's really weird, and it's kind of hard to follow how they actually get in. Like, did they jump onto the frame? Did they fall in? I can't figure it out. I don't know. I haven't read the book in a little while. But I like how they, you know, they swim up and up and up and up. And I think this water is beautiful. I want to go there so bad. I want to go to Australia anyway, so it's not that hard. It's not that much of a stretch. Will Poulter is, again, a fantastic addition to the cast. But yeah, I don't like the Lone Islands very much. I do like the addition of the Green Mist. I think that's a great addition. It adds a lot. It makes the stakes higher because, again, stakes. I love stakes. And I understand their reasoning, like, why the Magician's Island had to be first. But I do kind of like when Eustace changes sooner, because he's really, really annoying. Excuse me. And it's kind of nice when he becomes a nice, likable person. But as far as the Dark Island, I love the Dark Island. I think the Dark Island is great. And I love the sea serpent. I love seeing, like, the dynamic between... I love the dynamic between Edmund and Caspian a lot. One thing that, like, in fan fiction, like, I've not read any of the fan fictions, sorry, because they disgust me too much. But I know they like to say, like, they like to think, like, they were gay or something. Guys, people who write those, no! No! There's no excuse for that! Okay? No! No! No, they weren't. Their actors were. I can't speak to that because I don't know and I don't want to know. Thank you very much, because I've had too many of my favorite actors like, oh my gosh, whatever. Because I'll find that out. I'm like, I didn't want to know that, because it changes how you see them. Sorry, but it does. It just changes things, okay? It just does. Because I want to marry them. I know, I'm kidding, but still, it just changes everything. Anyway, no, okay? I can't say enough, no. Just, like, add, like, no 10,000 times and you'll get how I feel about it. At least 10,000 times. Just hear me, like, you know, just imagine no, playing over and over, okay? No. Anyway, I love the dynamic between Evan and Caspian. I think it's so fantastic. I'm jumping around. But I think there's one line that I wish, and again, okay, I guess one thing I forgot to talk about Prince Caspian is, I'm going to go back for a second, is how I felt about the romance between Susan and Caspian. I'm indifferent, honestly. It didn't bother me, and I didn't love it either. I will say I'm really glad I made a lot more sense when I found that out, because I, of course, didn't see Prince Caspian all the way through, and then I did see Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and it would tick me off. It would make me so annoyed when Lucy asked Caspian if he found himself a queen, and he says, no, not one to compare with your sister, and it just would make me so mad, because I'm like, that's so rude! Oh, rude! Still rude. I don't care if they're attracted to each other. Still rude. Okay, rude. 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 But anyway, and I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. And I also have mixed feelings about the fan fictions that say Lucy and Caspian were attracted to each other. I mean, I actually like that idea. Okay. But I have mixed feelings about that. I don't know. It's not as bad. But anyway, like I said, it's whatever. I like fan fiction, but only to a certain degree. Anyway, so anyway, going back to Voyage of the Dawn Treader, I think it's awesome that there are some things. I think there are some things that would change, like, and namely, and again, this is something I understand, but I don't understand it at the same time. You know, they show all this violence, but they didn't portray the undragging of Eustace well at all. Compared to how it was in the book now. I mean, I think they could have done so much more with it, and I think it would have taken a PG-13 rating to portray it better, to portray it more intensely. Because a huge point of that book, and we'll get more into this later, is like when we talk about when Seth and I talk about the books, talk about that specific book, about like how we can't deal with sin ourselves. We can't. We can try, but we can't. And it's downplayed a lot, and I just think it's so sad to downplay such a pivotal scene, and I really don't like, honestly, how it happens so far at the end of the movie, so we don't get to see Eustace as a kind person. Like, he's just portrayed as, like, a jerk. the whole time. And he redeems himself, but I don't know. I just think there are things about the movies, the book that I love. I think they changed it a lot more. And yeah, they kept the spirit a lot. It's very fun, but I just think that in a lot of ways it's not as good as the book. Very close, like, at all. Versus, like, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I'd almost say is better than the movie. Prince Caspian, no, it's not better. It's not as good. I think the changes were slightly justifiable. And the Voyage of the Dawn Treader movie is also justifiable, but I just think that, in a lot of ways they lost some of the treasures. I mean, they gained a lot, but they lost a lot, too. Anyway. So yeah, that is my thoughts. I don't know. I don't really know what else I have to say about it. It's a wonderful movie. Again, all three wonderful. Music fantastic. Acting is phenomenal. Will Poulter is amazing. That's what I want to say. I will say Will Poulter is fantastic. Ben Barnes is fantastic. They're all fantastic. Even the underlying characters are fantastic. Like the minor background characters are fantastic. I love them very much. But I feel like I will definitely say, if I wanted to rank them, I would say, but Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is way up here. Voyage of the Dawn Treader is, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is here. Voyage of the Dawn Treader is here-ish. Prince Caspian is probably, like, here. So, Prince Caspian and Voyage of the Dawn Treader are both great. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is much higher on the list for me, in my opinion. I feel like they did the best, sticking to the story, changing what they needed to change to make it, like, better almost, but keeping the spirit. And the themes they threw in, I think C.S. Lewis would have approved of very, very much so. And again, this is just my opinion. If any of you guys feel differently, that's totally okay. Feel free to disagree with me. Feel free to say, actually, I didn't like this. Actually, I liked how they changed things. That's totally okay. This is just my opinion. I'm just, answering the request to make a video about the movies. And so that's my thoughts. But if you have any thoughts of your own, please let me know in the comments below. And also, throw some ideas my way about what we can cover. Another thing I'm thinking of covering is of course, like I said, are you a Susan, or are you a Lucy? Are you Peter? Like contrasting the different characters. I also like to make a video maybe talking about like the different gifts that they receive and like thoughts on that. Like, and what if they mean anything, or if they're just kind of whatever, they're just cool things. I mean, whatever. Like, if they represent something biblically, or if they're just like skills, whatever. I'd like to make a video about that. If that's something you guys would like to see, let me know. Anyway, so yes. And I will hopefully put out another video this week, talking about The Horse and His Boy with the guy who does it with me, but his work has been really busy and it's been affecting like how much time he has. So hopefully we are hoping to get another one out this week. Anyway, that's all, and see you later. Bye, guys.